We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
The 2022 midterms are behind us, and it was far from the sweeping victory that Republicans had counted upon. However, things may not be so bleak for the Senate GOP when 2024 rolls around. Now, we're back with Liberty Nation senior political analyst Tim Donner, figuring out how the odds might just be in the Republicans' favor. Tim, how many Senate seats are up in 2024, and how many is the split between the parties?
Well, in any given federal election year, a third of the Senate is up 33 seats.
34, yeah.
Exactly, 33 or 34. And then there's some special elections thrown in, but it's essentially a third of the Senate. And of course, you're a slave to whatever the circumstances happen to be in that year and how they've changed from 6 years before when those same seats were up and 2 years before when the environment might have changed, which it has. But let me just put it starkly, Mark. If the Republicans cannot win the Senate in 2024, I don't know how they can ever win it, because of the 33 seats up in 2024. 23 of those are being defended by Democrats, 10 by Republicans. And among the Democratic seats that are up are 3 in deep red territory: Joe Manchin in West Virginia, John Tester in Montana. They're both moderates, but they're Democrats. And then there's a Sherrod Brown in Ohio, who's a dyed-in-the-wool liberal leftist in what has become Ohio, a very, very red state. Plus, on top of that, Mark, you've got 5 seats that are held by Democrats in battleground states that Joe Biden won by less than 3 points. In other words, they're pretty much toss-ups. On top of that, of the 10 Republican seats up, none of them are seriously vulnerable. So even with a 1-seat deficit going into the 2024 election, the Republicans should be able to garner at least a pickup of 3 or 4 seats. If they can, I think it would be a political malpractice.
Yeah, although we had similar discussions in the run-up to the 2022 midterms as well, and things that have a way of surprising you. Now, you say that they should be able to pick up 3 or 4 seats, and I think that's a very fair assessment. 3 to 4 seats, giving them the majority, just about. But it seems to me that America has really become used to very small, very slim majorities in the Senate.
Yes.
Now, is this really as new as it seems to me?
Well, it's just because of the circumstances that happen to fall on 2024 with these seats. I mean, for example, Arizona 6 years ago was clearly Republican. Now it's more purple. Michigan went red in 2016, but blue in 2020. Wisconsin Senate seat will be up, and you really have to call that a toss-up state. Joe Biden won it by a skinny 20,000 votes in 2020. So you've got, if the Republicans just win the 3 seats in deep red states, they'll have a 2-seat majority. And if they can pick off 1 or 2 of the 5 seats that are in narrow blue territory, or purple really, then they should have a bigger Senate majority than any time in, I think, 10 years. But of course, as you said, things change a lot in 2 years, but the numbers are overwhelmingly in favor of the GOP for the Senate in 2024.
So obviously, who will be on the presidential tickets for each party? I mean, I think that's one of the biggest questions in politics today. And it's a very much an unknown one. We can speculate till the cows come home, as we say here in the rural UK. But do you think that the final candidates, whomever they may be, will impact this inbuilt numbers advantage?
Certainly. If you have, for example, Donald Trump as the nominee, that's presents one set of circumstances. If you have a Ron DeSantis or a Glenn Youngkin or a Tim Scott or a Mike Pompeo, all of whom have designs on running, if not in 24, certainly in 28. Top of the ticket matters, yes, and that could make the difference in a couple of close Senate races in swing states. I think the big question about the presidential race at this point is not whether those guys that I just mentioned want to get in, but whether the fact that Donald Trump being in will scare them off, because they know their brand is going to be significantly tarnished, because Trump will decimate them in a primary, not necessarily at the ballot box, but certainly verbally. He will try to take them all down and discredit all of them. So they have to decide, for particularly DeSantis, whose star is clearly markedly on the rise. Does he want to cash in and exploit that while his star is way up high in the sky? Or does he fear his brand being diminished so badly by running against Trump that he's damaged for the future? That, to me, is the question.
Now, an ancillary to that would be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, surely we're looking at latest estimates suggest that there'll be 5 million plus illegal migrants crossing the border this coming year already for the fiscal year 2023, which has only been going just over 2 months at the time of recording. Starting in October, there's been 500,000 illegal border crossings and no end in sight to that. And that's just one of a multitude of crises that are consuming this administration. Do you think that Biden and Harris on the ticket will have the same combustible impact that Donald Trump on the ticket on the other side would have?
No, because Joe Biden, for all that Republicans dislike or even revile him, he doesn't stir the kind of hatred that a Trump or an Obama or a Clinton or a Bush seem to engender. So he's just, the Democrats kind of are sorry that he's as addled as he is. The Republicans think he's just, a tool for the far left. But I can tell you this much right now, this midterm election has emboldened Joe Biden. He is interpreting it as basically a mandate for his continuing the type of leadership that he's had, which is, well to the left of center. So he looks like, barring medical circumstances, I now guess that he definitely will run in 2024. He will act as a statesman, stay home, and let the rest of the party go out and protect and defend him as he runs for re-election. I really believe that's going to happen now that A, Kamala Harris is not electable, and B, Gavin Newsom, the most realistic challenger, has said he's not going to run. Even he said he wouldn't run under any circumstances, though I suspect that would change if Biden changes his mind and says he's not going to run.
Continuing with our theme, circumstances always change. Tim Donner, thanks you ever so much for being with us.
Delight to be here, Mark.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides. Entertaining, informative, and just plain fun. Watch Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5. Produced by conservatives for conservatives. C5's The Left Free Zone. Hosted by Liberty Nation's Lisa K. Donner. Joined by a raucous, irreverent panel of authors. Deconstructing leftist narratives. Debating the hot topics. And remembering to laugh. Join the official conservative safe space.
You only did that to piss Jeff off.
Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5.